Hello, and welcome to my presentation of my entrepreneurship project, Neuro Coffee. My name is Amy Blaquiere, and in the following slides, I will be talking about my idea for a new age coffee shop in Billings, Montana, and why it would be feasible. The problem. So what we're looking at in Billings, Montana is an issue with technology and comfortability in the current coffee shops. Specifically, we're looking at college students as well as young adults in the workforce that use a lot of technology and need to spend long amounts of times in these shops. So specifically what we're looking at is comfortable spaces, those that people can spend a long amount of times in, as well as having adequate electrical outlets for people to use their technology with, having some printing options if they don't have printing options at home or at the school that they go to, having natural surroundings that evoke calmness that make people want to stay in the space longer, as well as having appropriate workspaces. So being able to have your books and your laptop and your phone and to be comfortable in that space and not feel overcrowded. So why care? What is the added value of what we're including in this new coffee shop? So first and foremost would be the seating and the furniture that we have in Neuro Coffee. The first would be the first of its kind that we know of in coffee shops with customized seating. So basically what this would mean is having a workspace that you can customize to your needs. So having availability for laptops and phones and tablets and being able to move around that furniture, see what fits best, as well as having space to store things such as your backpack and your books that you may not need right now, but you need on handy. As well as having intuitive technology planning. This goes hand in hand with the customized seating, having those outlets and other available things that you might need that are at the space and that we have thought of. Also having space and having comfort, which is hugely important with these things, having so you can spread out, but also having it where it makes sense for you. So with all three of these things, what we're really trying to do is have you be able to socialize and separate. They seem like opposite things, but they're things you both might need in a coffee shop. So having that social aspect, which you might go to a coffee shop for to be around other people, but also being able to separate and do your work. The opportunity. So the opportunity in Billings, we're looking at a potential market of 30,576 people. A little later on in the slideshow, I will show you how we got that number. But right now, we're looking at this potential market. And what we're really looking at is an attractive opportunity as well as a timely opportunity. There's strong growth in both industries of coffee as well as technology. And if we put those two hand in hand, we have a really successful business that is using both of these markets to our advantage. There is such a potential growth for both the coffee industry and the technology industry that we would really be playing off both of those strengths. So target market, who are we looking at when we're imagining our coffee shop? Well, first, of course, is coffee drinkers. Coffee drinkers or tea drinkers, those that might inhabit a coffee shop frequently, as well as having those that use technology frequently for work, as well as they might be students in college, those that would have a large use of our technology capabilities and also get a lot of use out of the space and having it be comfortable and spending long amounts of time in. So what is the services that we are offering? First and foremost, we're offering great coffee at comparable pricing. So pricing that is comparable to Starbucks, City Brew, and Mazevo, and having that great coffee shop feel, but also having some really cool added elements, such as natural decor and having a super comfortable environment. So there are other coffee shops that try to evoke that natural settings, but they really haven't follow through with the idea. So having that plant life and kind of having that outside feeling that really makes people want to spend a lot amount of time in the space. And last, of course not least, is having technological capabilities and flexible seating, making this a really new age coffee shop, especially for Billings. So our services are extremely customer based. They're looking at the needs of the customers and the wants and what makes them the most comfortable. So our interview results were really interesting. We were looking at 3 different options that potential customers might want, and those were technology capabilities, private room access, and natural decor/comfortability. What's really interesting about the results was 43% put technology capabilities as their first priority, and 43% put natural decor/comfortability as their first priority. Private room access was still pretty popular, but just not to the point that these other 2 were. So because of the tie and how the first priority went, I decided to sort of run with both ideas as they would be actually really important to the customer, both of them. So next we're looking at price, which again I mentioned before can be super important for a coffee shop, because even though you might have all these extra services that are really great for customers, they still don't want to pay more for their latte or their Americano or cappuccino. So what we're looking at is an example menu with prices for our coffee shop. They're comparable to pricing from City Brew and Starbucks. It's really important that we get these sort of standardized beverage counts just so we are competitive with those other coffee shops. We could get resources from Cisco as well as Tri-State to get some of these prices and be able to afford to offer these prices to our customers. Next, we are looking at our competition, which I've mentioned a little bit before. So as far as general coffee shops in Billings, there are around 26. This is not counting the kiosk coffee shops. However, there's really no alternatives for the services and the coffee that we are offering. So as far as our direct competition, we're counting the 3 main brands of coffee that are sold in town, which is City Brew, and there's 4 of them. Starbucks is there's 5 of them, and then Mazevo. And the reason that I chose these was that they're the most popular for studying, especially for college students, Mazevo in particular, and they probably put out the most the most coffees, as opposed to any of the other businesses in town. However, I will mention that again, one of their services is similar, and that is that they are serving coffee. However, everything after that, Neuro Coffee would be really unique in those services that they're offering. So next, we're going to look at financial feasibility. Of course, just on top of having a great idea, the idea needs to be financially feasible in order to make it work. So I talked a little bit about the target market being around 30,000. How I got to that was the Billings population being 110,000. The potential market, which is adults in Billings, is around 84,000, and then I took 46%, which is the average percentage of Americans that drink coffee, and that's where it got us to that 30,000. The other alternatives would be the 38% of adults in Billings that do not drink coffee. We're looking at a frequency of 156 coffees per year, which is an average of 3 coffees per week. A pretty conservative average amount for the average coffee drinker, and then a gross margin of 0.89. So what do those numbers mean as far as our business plan and our cash flow analysis? So looking at this cash flow graph, you can obviously see that the first year we're going under about negative 200,000. Of course, that's pretty normal to get a coffee shop started and get all the things that we need. However, we have a pretty quick increase in cash flow as the years go by. We're looking at a net present value of $2,523,378.28, an internal rate of revenue of 139%, and a break-even point of 23,789 units. So some pretty healthy looking numbers for this coffee shop as the years go on. So next we're looking at the critical variables. So these are the things that could really affect the business if the numbers change. The first thing is the current frequency, which we talked about, 156 units per year. If we had a potential low frequency, which is 52 units per year, which means once per week, we still have a positive net present value, as well as that having the current estimated competitors sitting at 26. If we bump that up to 40, we still have a positive net present value, which is a pretty positive outlook on this project. So in conclusion, for Neuro Coffee, we have positive net present values even in the worst cases, a large target market, a lack of similar options, technology and comfortability, and the perfect opportunity for Billings. Thank you.